Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rich and Turbo Heavy Half Hour. My name is Rich. You can find me on X at FuzzDoomRip, doing reviews for Musipedia of Metal as a Doom Charts contributor, and on all the other socials as Rich.Pivel. Come follow and say hi. Also, I have Turbo, my co-host, with me. We have Nacho Maldonado joining us. Nacho, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm good, brother. How you guys doing?
We are so excited to talk to you about the new Mezzoa record. It's we love it. It would be, and I mean this as the biggest compliment in the world. In 1994, it would have been my absolute favorite record, without a doubt, because of the vibe that you get and the stuff that I love, and it's just great. And congratulations on it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I'll have to admit, back in the early days of the '90s, I kind of felt like all those bands were kind of stealing my tone and my style. Of course, I loved Nirvana, I loved Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, but I mean, I just really wasn't ready to break through with my music at the time. So, I mean, I get it. I think we were all probably raised on similar influences, probably growing up in the '70s and '80s. So I appreciate it. It's a total compliment. I appreciate that, Rich.
No, absolutely. But it's also one of our favorite albums today, which is, saying something given the time frame, how much time has passed since then, and everything else. But we've been fans, really since the first record. I think we discovered the first record after the second record came out. At least I did.
Right.
So we're really excited. And just for anybody who doesn't know, it's called Ton 618. Is that how we want to say it? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's how it's. Yeah.
And everyone should go check it out. The really cool thing also, and we'll talk about this later, is what Buddy from Glory or Death are doing with some vinyl options, which are insane. Yeah. So first off, Nacho, tell us about the record. For people who haven't heard it or don't know about Mezzoa, can you tell us a little bit about what this record's all about?
Well, first of all, it's basically mostly just songs of life, man. Things that I've lived, mostly autobiographical for the most part. It's just whenever a riff comes to me, I'll, start rocking out in the living room right here, mostly on this little guy right there on my line 6, where they all kind of come out of. Break out my Les Paul or my SG, start writing some riffs, and then, from off of that, I'll just find the melody. Whenever the melody comes to me, then I'll just start messing around with some lyrics, and that they just basically are just, love of music. As far as just, the album has a lot of different elements as far as, songs that I've written, songs that I've jammed out with previous bands that I had already recorded and just decided I'm going to put it on the album. They haven't been really released before or to low volume. So there's just a conglomeration of a lot of stuff happening with this one. And it was cool to add my buddy Adam, who plays bass and vocals on a couple tracks. I thought it mixed it up a little bit. And, truthfully, Rich, Turbo, I was pretty pleased when it all kind of finished up to hear it, and like, oh man, it's kind of an ass kicker. There's tons of riffs in there. It's got a lot of rock value, if you ask me.
Oh, 100%. Go ahead, Nacho. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I was going to say, if that answers your question, I don't know if I got to the crux of your question, other than just, that's basically where it started, and basically I'm proud of what it ended up being. And like I said, it's just a love of music and just being able to get stuff off of your chest, and whether it be, female issues, just life issues, just feeling good about stuff, feeling shitty about stuff, it's a good way it's a cathartic way to get it off your chest and just put it into a musical backdrop.
Love it. And it's also a great way for us listeners to escape some of the crazy stuff that's going on in the world and listen to some really great stuff. And like I said, we've really been digging the record. Turbo, what do you got for Nacho?
When I look at you, when I was like, look at your band and look at you all on stage playing, I expect your your vocals to come out more whiskey soaked instead of like being a crooner that you are. I mean, I love your vocals.
Right.
I love the way you
Thank you.
sing. I know you get compared to Josh and probably Jerry with the way you sing it out there, but I still see you as more of an original singer, and your band more being original instead of being compared to those other bands. But where did you learn to sing? Who influenced you on your singing and all that?
I appreciate that question. And, I think it was mainly, shoot, probably like I said, from the early days, I've always was a Beatles fan. I really liked their melodies. I liked how they got their point across with, mostly, what's the word I'm looking for? Just relatable subjects for the most part. That's who I was started singing out, about when I was a youngster. I just sang a lot of Beatles tunes, a lot of Kiss tunes, Cheap Trick. I was a big fan of Cheap Trick and Robin Zander. And the thing is, when I just started singing my voice, I just basically knew it's like don't try to overdo it. Don't try to be over rock and roll guy and just sing out of my depth because I'm not really trained at all. So I just would try to sing what was easier, just basically in my wheelhouse, and that's kind of where I started singing. And then I would get those comparisons. At the time when I would first hear the comparisons to Josh and them. I didn't know who the hell they were until I heard some of the first two albums. Once one of my buddies turned me on to, I'm like, holy shit, there is a similarity, but I'm like, fuck, I love this dude's approach. Also, he's not trying to over rock and roll vocal and whatnot, but I loved his approach. But like I said, that it was, I believe, in the '70s when I just started just singing some of the good old school rock and roll bands. I like to say don't want to leave out Kiss, even though Paul Stanley does have a rock and roll voice. He basically has a front man, but I think it's more or less just the basic dudes. Like I said, Cheap Trick, frickin' the Beatles. That's where I kind of developed, and that's what I sang a lot as a youngster. So I think that's where I developed just a normal, my tone and my voice, just sing what you can. Don't try to overdo it. You ain't got all that kind of range, little fella. Stay where you're comfortable. So that's, and not to mention playing guitar. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love the Cheap Trick mention because you hear some of your pop sensibilities in these songs. I think.
Oh yeah, I love Cheap Trick. I don't think they get. I mean, they definitely are world renowned, but that's exactly true. I think they have some songs that are fucking ballsy, rocking. Avita Zane off of the Heaven and Tonight albums, freaking so good, so rocking. I got a ton of good rocking songs, but I also like the way that Robin would sing on it, So I'm just like, if I could be anywhere near Cheap Trick, I think I was hitting what I would enjoy to listen to. So it means a lot to hear guys like yourself saying, the vocals are cool, man. The musicianship's, it's cool. It's what we like. And I'm like, So, when you play for yourself, do it for yourself, you hope that other people dig it. And, I think it's a little bit more genuine that way.
You were saying about playing guitar before I interrupted you about.
Oh, yeah. What I was also saying is that with guitar, I'm not a great guitarist, but, I think it takes a lot more for me to, it takes a lot of concentration to be able to sing and play guitar. So I'm just, like I said, so I can't get, when I'm creating these songs, it's like, you can't get all wordy, singing a bunch of fast lyrics and get all out, up and down all over the place. You better focus on your guitar first, buddy, and then you can start singing. So that's another reason why I brought the guitar up, because it just kind of keeps me grounded to not try to get too out of control with my vocal approach.
Yeah, I've talked to a few bands about like playing instruments and singing. To me, it's just amazing that anybody can do that. Like just to be able to do that and sing and concentrate and not have it affect either of the things that you're doing is pretty amazing. It's funny that you bring up the influences that you do. I've been bugging Turbo and some of the other people who I chat about this record about that it sounds like something. And I know I sent you a band name. I've been throwing names around there, like I mentioned, like Overwhelming Colorfast and Tad, and I fancy myself this '90s music expert, and I'm way overthinking it because that's just kind of what I do. But I
Right.
think it's also a little lazy for some of the reviews. Oh, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, because there's so much more going on the record.
Right.
So, being that you mentioned a lot of '70s influences, and that are there '90s bands that you would call out that are outside of maybe the ones that the general public would mention as influences that you would mention?
Well, outside of the public, I mean, there's one that basically helped me out lyrically as far as being honest with my lyrics. I don't know, and it's gonna hit the first name of the band is Alice, but it's Alice Donut. They're from, I
Nice.
think,
Oh
from
my
San
God,
Francisco.
that's
They're
awesome.
just they're Yeah, you know about them guys? They're
I
freaking
do. I
awesome. Just
do. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I just when I heard his vocals and his lyrics, I just thought, man, that dude just you can tell that he's writing stuff that he truly believes or feels. It's just like he's not trying to rhyme shit for rhyming purposes. He's writing songs, so I mean, it really took me to a new level of just being honest with what I'm writing about. And then, then like I have to say, even though I know people fully understand about Jerry Cantrell and Alice Alice in Chains, that's another one who I feel like a camaraderie with, even though I never met the cat. But I'm just like, man, I just love the way he approaches it. He's not trying to be overwhelming with his vocals. He's just pretty. I don't even know how to say it. I mean, I just love his style and his approach to singing, But I'm trying to think if there's other '90s bands, because that one, to answer your question, as far as bands that, I guess it was mostly the heavy hitters. You know what I mean? Like Cornell, I could never sing like that cat, but I just love some of his stuff. And I mean, just to catch me off guard, I really can't really think of too many things other than the normal ones. You know what I mean?
Look, you just called out Alice Donut on our show, so that could not make me happier than it
That's
possibly
what
could. Dry humping the cash cow, and Donut comes alive, and
my brother knows.
those,
All right, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
love those
Untidy
records.
Suicides.
Yep.
Untidy Suicides is such a from top to bottom. I mean, from first song all the way down to the last notes, man. I'm like, what a fucking great album. And it just takes you on such a journey, rocking to melancholy. It's just a bitchin' album. And once I was turned on to that, I'm like, wow, man. It took me in a whole different direction. Now it starting to come to me. Some of these bands, like there was some slower, heavier tunes, like the band Codeine. I don't know if you remember
Hmm.
them, if you guys heard of them. I remember they were pretty rad. Starting to get into them, and it's just how they were like sludgy, but without a sludgy guitar. Just their tempos are really slow, and just that's kind of what's some of the influences I took from them, and how they would slow down the tempos, and it just sounded heavier and shit. But it wasn't totally distorted and gnarly. Just bitchin' music. That was one I really dug. Who else was there in the '90s? I mean, Fu Manchu and whatnot too. I guess I don't know if they were actually the early '90s, maybe late '90s. I'm trying to think. Maybe I remember listening to them a little bit over at my old pad. But I mean, I don't want to talk too much. Just keep just yammering. But I mean, I think those are some of the bands that I was listening to. Gosh dang,
You
maybe Local H was another one. I think in the '90s was pretty rad, like them.
you
But I
have
think those
exceeded
are
my expectations on answering that question. So thank you. And Alice Donut mentioned on the show makes me very happy. Turbo, while I recover from that, what do you have for Nacho?
right on.
Well, in another direction, I love how you chose to mash up two songs, and you helped me understand what Joe Elliott was singing because I never really understood what he was saying. I loved how you put
Yeah,
"Wasted" and "Symptoms of the Universe" together. That's awesome.
yeah, that was fun. That was fun. And
And you
I
made it
think I
sound
might
like
have
a
had.
suicidal tendencies song too. Like you like made it almost like a crossover thrash version of those two songs, which was also awesome.
Yeah, yeah. That's the second time I've heard that about that chump song. Somebody's like, kind of sounds like suicidal, and I'm like, I'll take that. I got no problem with that. And I think I might have added I don't know if Elliot says smoking a bowl, but I threw
Yeah,
it in there.
It
I don't know
fits.
if that's the actual
Your version
lyric,
is much
but
better.
it sounds, I think we can relate. I don't know if you guys are stoners. I haven't smoked pot in like 5 years, but I would always sing that whenever that line came through, smoking a bowl, but whatever. I don't know what the hell he's saying, but it's just as cool.
Oh, love it.
Glad you like that one.
Great catch, Turbo, on that. There was actually, I wrote down a second song that reminded me. I think it's the song after that one that also has some of that suicidal vibe to it. Chump, no, Chump was the one that
Yeah.
I believe has that too. Were you a fan? Or are you a fan of that stuff? Being, where you're
Suicidal.
from.
I mean, I don't know their full catalog. I know that, I'm a big fan of anything hardcore and badass for sure. But what happened in there's a few songs in there where I'm primarily on drums and my good friend Jimmy Flores on guitar and Adam Franken on bass, with Adam singing some of the leads. And we were just jamming at the house, and we recorded some good stuff. And I'm just like, we never really did much with it. So I'm just like, hey, fellas, you guys mind if I put that on the Mezzoa album? And they're like, fucking go for it. It's just sitting on the ground doing nothing, man. Put that shit out. It's exactly what I did. So that's where you get that different vibe from me writing most of the guitar work. But I play a lot of the drums on most of the album. My buddy Roy Bellarmino plays drums on a few of them tracks too. But that one, those reasons why those kind of have a suicidal feel to it, I do believe, because my buddy Jimmy was the guitar tech for a long time for Suicidal. I think that was just in
Ah,
his bones, to play that way. I mean, I'm sure, he's a big fan. And when me, him, and Adam got together, we just kind of did core stuff, just kind of just thrashy shit, and that's what came out. I'm like, fuck, it's great, man. This shit needs to be recorded and needs to be put out there. And since I knew I was going to have a little bit of what do you call that? Not a foundation, just a way to somewhere people to hear it. So I'm like, all
yeah,
right, well, I'm going to put it out, and it's killer. People are just like, well, it's way different than your other shit, but it's still good. So I'm glad
yeah.
I
Oh,
did.
it's great. Great. Love those two songs. But that leads me to a question about another cover that you had on your first record, which was a band that doesn't necessarily come up in a lot of the conversations that we have on this show or
Right.
in. Uh, I'm a huge Smiths fan. Whose
Bingo.
idea
There it
was
goes.
Shoplifters?
Well, that's mine, but there we go. That goes back to answer your other question. 90s bands, or well, they're mostly 80s, but I was a huge Smiths fan, and I love the way Morrissey sings. He's a fucking crooner, and
Yeah,
just the way he just patterns his shit all over him and Johnny Marr were freaking geniuses, and it's too bad them two cats don't get along, because it's some of my favorite music of all time, and I've always loved them. And I just knew when I heard that bass line and the riff to that song, I'm like, oh my God, if this thing got turned up, turn the guitar up, turned a little distortion on that thing, that's a fucking heavy riff. So that's what I did. I turned it up, and I got to sing. I basically sing it like Morrissey for the most part. And it turned out pretty fucking good in my estimation.
oh, I love it. I would listen to a whole Mezzoa Smiths cover record, to be honest with you. I'm a huge Smiths
That's
fan. I
right.
love the some of the well, a lot of the early Morrissey solo stuff,
Oh
even
yeah, oh
up
yeah,
to
me too, me too. I got like three or
Skipping the
four of the
Lease and stuff.
first Morrisseys, and then kind of just drifted after that.
Yeah, like he did. I'm not sure what's going on
Yeah,
with him. The last three times I was going
yeah,
to go
he
see
did.
him, it got canceled. So,
Exactly. I was gonna go too. I was just like, yeah, it's like, all right, dude. Coming back around, I'm like, I'm good, dude. Fuck it.
yeah,
Forget it, dude.
yeah, yeah. You
Forget
got
it.
like a
You're good.
40% chance that he'll show up for him for the show. So yeah, but yeah, that old Smith stuff and Johnny Marr as a guitar player, I think is one of the most underrated. Because like if you just listen to it as like a listener, you're probably thinking he's not doing anything all that special. But like
Right,
his
right.
tone, some of the things he does, like what he did on How Soon Is Now and all that other stuff is just
Ooh,
so
good one.
unique
Yeah.
and challenging for anybody to kind of just pick up and play. I think as a guitar player, that's what I've heard at
Have you
least.
seen any of the when he'll put something out where it's just him playing a song, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, like what you're getting at here is just that, like, oh my God. didn't know he was doing all of that. I mean, it's just buried in the song because the song's so, just visual, mental, whatever the hell I'm trying to say. I can't really put it into words, but it's like, my God, Johnny was freaking unsung. I mean, and I know Morrissey got guitarists that were trying to emulate that, but just like never kind of did good. Like you said, the first couple Morrissey albums were good. But I mean, Johnny was a freaking legend, man. Some of the, or he still is. But I mean, just hearing some of the stuff just by himself playing his guitar, I'm like, these fucking songs are so good, and he's so awesome.
Yeah, it's just and I love your cover. That I'm glad we got to talk about the Smiths some.
Thank you. Appreciate
Turbo,
it.
what do you got, Turbo? I know you're not looking at me like God, Rich. Normally you take me down the punk hardcore, right?
Now
Now
you're
you took
going
me down
down
the
this,
Smiths
this
route.
Morrissey stuff.
Yeah, poor Turbo.
Classic.
Let Turbo ask a question on something
So
more
you
down
mentioned that
his
you're
alley.
playing some of the instruments on this album. Is Mezzoa not a cohesive band? Are you a four-piece? Are you a three-piece? Are you
We're a three
just
piece now. We got three solid members now. It's always been a struggle, with guys with families, guys just, keep the commitment for a while, which I'm always thankful for because I know how it is. We jam at my place, so it's always easy for me to get to practice. It's just downstairs, but some guys just, whether it's like I said, families, jobs, whatever the case, just get burned out. I get that too, guys get burned. And so we've, for the most part, it just started with me just writing songs for myself. And then I just gave the songs to some friends and see if they wanted to play a show. We had one show lined up and we did it. It was fun. We had tons of heads there. So we just kept doing it for a few years. The guitarist dropped out. Drummer moved on after a couple of shows. The bass player and I hung together for about 5 or 6 years, but then he started getting burnt out. So it's been somewhat of a rotation, but as of right now, the initial bass player, Roy, he came back. He's been solid for the last 3 years. The bass player, Greg Noriega, he plays guitar in a band called Silo. He also plays bass in Sea of Snakes. And so, for him to come over here, he's like a brother too. So right now, I think we got a good lineup of three dudes that got their shit together. We can tour if we need to. We're gonna write some new material. I got a few songs already in the hopper, all ready to go for the next album, and I want to wait till we can write some shit together, so it's more of a cohesive family type undertaking, as opposed to me just shitting out most of my stuff. Because, like I said, just with Adam and Jimmy helping me out with this last one, their influence and their input really made the album a little bit more diverse. And we still have a few songs that we recorded that I'll probably put on the next one. So there'll be a couple of the hardcore songs, I said a couple. You know what that meant. There'll be a couple of songs. There'll be a couple of songs from those recording sessions that are hardcore, badass bangers. A couple of songs that I've already had recorded, and there'll be some new ones that Greg, Roy, and I write that we're working on right now. So that's in the future.
Very cool. Please let him know you have some Sea of Snakes fans on this call. It's another band that we really dig. So please
Hell
let
yeah,
him know. We send
for sure.
some love there. You mentioned just kind of everyone having their thing in life and everything else going on. You were featured in a movie called Lifers, correct?
Yeah, that was
Um,
right.
really, really cool. Tell for people who have not seen it, can you just give us a quick synopsis of what that was and how you got involved in the project?
Yeah, Matt Hartnett and Tanner Hoppet, um, believe that's Poppet, that's his name. They came to us, me and Kip, the bass player for Formula 400. We've been homies for a long time. He's my cohort with the SoCal Heavy Jam down here in San Diego. But me and Tanner and Matt came to us and said, hey, we're going to write this, we're going to film this documentary. I'd like for you guys to be a part of it. And basically it's just documenting about 4 or 5 dudes that just been doing it for 25, 30 years, just having fun, rocking out, keeping the dream alive, whether the dream is just to play some fun shows, record some good music, and that's basically what it was about. And it was cool. They talked to cats from the Freaks, cats from Eric Kluber from Society One now, but he was also in Void Vader back in the day. That's how I got to meet Eric. And then who else was in there? The guy from
Trevor, Trevor from
Trevor,
Haunt.
that's the name of Trevor from Haunt. Yeah. So it was cool, man. Just to get a little bit of just get a bit of love, for some cats. It's like, hey, we see you, dude. We see what you're doing. We appreciate what you've been doing. Nice job, and we're gonna talk about it for an hour or so. And so it was freaking cool, man. And it was cool to see the other guys and what they went through, and how it kind of built a little community amongst those guys. Because like 2 weeks after it was released, I went and seen Roman down there at Brick by Brick here in San Diego. Immediate hugs, him and the homies of their band. It's just like it's pretty cool, man. It's a cool feeling. It's cool to be involved in something like that. After all these years, to kind of get a little bit of not notoriety, but other than what's the word I'm looking for? Just acknowledgement. There it is. Little acknowledgement, like, hey, dude, we see you. We see what you've been up to, and pretty good job. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool, definitely.
When your name is brought up in the scene, there's nothing but love that you hear around your name and what you've done.
It's
But
awesome.
for those who might know, since lifers, you've been in the scene for a while. What did you do before Mezzoa? What might we know? What might we not know? Or can you give us a little
Yeah.
synopsis of how you came up?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the earlier bands I was in. I played drums early days with this band called G13. It was more of like a hardcore. It was almost like what you would call it, Rage Against the Machine meets, I don't know, Rage Against meets that one band with Limp Bizkit. It was kind of rap metal right before that really blew up. So we had stuff when I was living down in Ocean Beach. We were doing that as a band called Abusement Park, G13. Those bands were kind of going on. And then after those dissolved, I got into a band. I started my own band called Magdalene, which kind of took from Alice Donut. The first song on Untidy Suicides. When I heard that song, I'm just like, oh man, I was freaking blown away. So I just named my band after that. Then I started realizing that too many Christian connotations to come along with that. And they're like, "Well, are you guys Christian?" I'm like, hell no. And then, so that was something I fronted and played guitar and vocals for that for a few years. And I also played drums for a band called Supersonic Dragon Wagon, another kind of stoner rock band. We started that here at my house. Who else? Like I said, there was the Sicarios de Musica I played drums with. I'm also playing drums right now with Silo as Reformed. So we're doing that again, and we're going to do a couple songs here at the SoCal Heavy Jam here in October. But as far as the bands, I did had a little stint on guitar on the Shot Out Hoods here in San Diego in the early 2000s. So, that's, as far as the bands I've done and hung out with and played with, that's probably the extent. I'm trying to think if there's anything bigger or gnarly. I never really had anything super big or like grabbing titty, huh? But I never had anything massive or any to that extreme. That answer.
Love and yeah, no, absolutely. I love the name Abusement Park.
What's
That's a
that?
wonderful name. I love the name Abusement Park. That is a great name
Oh
for a band.
yeah,
I don't know, but that's a great name for a band. Um, I was Supersonic Dragon Wagon. They're still active, right? I feel like I just saw a single come out from those guys, if I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
Dave Russell, he's basically the songwriter for the band. Our old bass player passed away about 3 or 4 years ago, and after that, the band kind of just dissolved, and then he he kind of had some health issues of his own. Took a couple years off, so now he's kind of doing the he's recording most of the stuff is by himself in the studio, and he's putting singles out. I think he had an album out last year or the year before. He's a great songwriter. He's a good homie. So, he just recently got married. So he's kind of trying to balance that with his wife and the band and, however much he can get out and do what he can do. But, as it is right now, he's just basically doing it as a solo project. And from what I'm gathering, Juno.
Some good stuff there. Turbo, what else you got for Nacho?
As far as like the album cover goes, is and I can't really find much about your band information online and stuff like that, so I don't know your backgrounds and who was who. But seeing is this do you have like an Aztec background or some other?
Yeah, I'm.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, for one, I'm just I'm half Mexican, and so I'm always been drawn to that type of art. I mean, I'm Scotch Irish on my mom's side, Mexicano from pops, and I just I've always loved the art and the just the culture. As a kid, I was raised with my mom for the most part, and I didn't really, I was raised in Spring Valley, San Diego, and it's basically, I was like one of the only Mexican kids out there. But I think it kind of, guided me towards more of a rock upbringing, which I'm totally good with. But the older I got, I started to realize, oh, my Mexican side, my Mexican culture is pretty badass too. So I just been starting to, try to learn more about that. And I just, like I said, it's not known by myself, but also I just noticed that it's really not preached about or spoke or taught basically in schools or stuff like that. So I just try to teach myself or learn about the culture. And once I started, I'm like, it's fucking a lot of bitch and shit involved with their deities and what they believe in. And it's just cool. I mean, it's nothing too deep other than I think it looks freaking bitching, and that's mainly it for the most part as far as the logos and the motifs and the stuff like that.
As a,
Killer.
as a also half Scotch Irish person, I would say, yeah, we don't have any of that cool stuff, imagery or anything like that. We're way
Right.
more bored than what you got there. Um, Very cool. You mentioned earlier, are you curating like a festival or a show that you guys are doing? Did I
Yeah.
did I hear that right? Or
Yeah. This is going to be our fourth year. This is going to be a volume 4, little ode to Sabbath. We got headlining at Sabbath, Buddy Sabbath. Buddy Donner from Glory or Death Records is going to be headlining the show. But yeah, this is something we do every year. And this year we've got 9 bands. We got Formula 400's playing, Desert Sons is playing, the band 16 is playing. Like I said, Sabbath, Buddy Sabbath, Shield of Snakes, Mystic Majesty from Italy's coming in. From Buddy. Buddy said he wanted to book a tour with those guys, so they were coming over at that certain time. So they got on. Oh, well, Stone Kite, I believe. Hopefully, I'm not missing anybody, but so that's something we do every year, and we got this one happening at Winston's in Ocean Beach, San Diego. And like I said, it's the second year to have it there, and it's been pretty successful for the last few years. But I think we're up against Judas Priest and Alice Cooper, and I think COC is playing the same night. So like, oh. So
well, I,
yeah.
I think
Go
we can
ahead.
guarantee that show will be more expensive than your show for sure. I
Sure,
can
sure.
almost
You know what?
guarantee.
And we'll have a couple. No, and we'll have a couple heads. We always normally get a few heads, and I'm always happy to play. And hopefully, if it's just the band's there, I'm good with that. Hey, boys, let's have fun. This is what we do. We practice all week long. Last couple months, let's go have fun. Rock the heck out. Let's have a couple beers. Be thankful for what we're doing and having the health and wealth to be able to do it. So I'm thankful and grateful for all that we can do. And if we get to pull it off again and it's successful and we get to do it again next year, I'm good.
Speaking of Buddy, friend of the show, he's one of my vinyl dealers as well. Buddy is a crazy person with all the stuff that he's putting out there with some of the amazing, different, unique versions of the record. And I was just perusing the site. So what do you get involved? How much do you get involved with the mad scientist that is Buddy and all those other people who are putting out those crazy versions of your record? Is that something that somebody shows you and you're like, holy shit, that's amazing? Or do you get involved in those discussions, or how did that work? Because as
Not
a vinyl
really.
freak, I'm very interested.
Nah, he told me it's probably best. He's all, you wouldn't want them trying to teach you how to write a song or nothing. He's all, we leave that design stuff to them. He's all, I used to try to get involved before, and he's all, it just blows up in my face. He's all, let's just trust them. And I'm like, 100%. I'm good with that. I've got enough on my plate with my job and my band and la la la. And so I just left it up to them. And it's there's sometimes there's miscommunications, but sometimes they work out in your favor, which is also awesome. We thought the test pressings were going to come in some red jackets. They came in yellow, but I'm like, that's fine. Padre colors. I ain't tripping. Red or yellow and brown. So I'm like, perfect. It works fine. No big deal. So it's all a happy accident all the time. Oh,
I will tell you that Buddy and I are talking about some of the options that might wind up coming down my way here to Florida, and some
right.
of them are insane. Like a couple are just crazy. He works with a lot of those different companies who bring in some of
Uh-huh.
the different kind of filled ones and whatnot. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. I mean, you were talking about that too. I did say that I did. I'm like, I want some of one of those ones with liquid, with the lighting. I'm like, hey, buddy, can we do that? And he's just like, "What, you want? I'm like, yeah, man, I got to get someone with the lava. He's like, we'll get lava coming out with fireworks. I'm like, yeah, I want just a 5-spot, 5, 10 of those. I want one. Give you one. I think you were saying something about that. Get you one. Turbo gets 2 or 3. You know.
yeah,
Big Turb,
it's
what's up,
insane.
Turb?
There's a band called Shrew from Portland on Glory or Death too, and they just put out a version of their new record, and there's like fake fur in it. I'm like, I need to have that. I need to own the
That's
record that has
rad,
fake fur
dude.
in it. I don't know why, but like I just feel like I need to
No,
own
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah,
You're a
it's
nerdo about that stuff, and that's rad. That's why we make vinyl. I mean, I knew, I was kind of like, I don't know about CDs again. My friends are like, oh yeah, some people still listen to it. And then vinyl, I've never really produced vinyl. I've got like 6 albums that I've full lengthers that I've recorded in my day, and I'm just like, never have I done a vinyl till this last Mezzoa album, and it's kind of fun. I can't wait to get the actual package and check out the fucking artwork like we used to do when we were youngsters, flipping it over, look at the artwork. Hope we did a good job with the art. I mean, I had this rad artist from Mexico do some badass shit on the back artwork, and an artist from San Diego, this tattoo artist Droopy, did the front logo. So I mean, I'm really stoked on the artwork. Came out dope. But yeah, I can't wait to see the inside sleeves and the actual vinyl itself, because some of the designs look dope.
yeah, no, it's amazing. The things that I've seen that Buddy shared with me are amazing. Can't wait
Right
to
on.
get my hands.
Yeah.
Trevor, anything else for Nacho while we have him? We've already kept him longer than I told him. Anything else you wanna share?
No, just appreciate what you done, man. I enjoyed your
Yeah,
music.
absolutely.
Right on,
You were a
Turbo.
little
I
bit of
appreciate you
a,
both. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say like the first record that we heard, and then getting to the second record, you were a little bit of a mystery to us. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know the label you were on. We tried to see if there was physical copies. It was like an
Yeah.
effort. Like we didn't know. So it was very
Right.
mysterious. And then when this record came out and we started to learn all about who you were, where it all came from, was on Glory or Death, we're finally like, now I think we get it. We completely understand. This is something that is not out in the, not something that's it's still underground, but something that we can put a face to a name now and all that good stuff. So we're very excited for
Right
you.
on.
And the record is amazing. It's called Ton 618 or 618, depending on how you want to say it. It's on
Exactly.
Glory or Death Records. If you like the 90s stuff, if you like
Just like
to,
rocking
to
out.
take the lazy way out, right? The lazy way
Like
out,
rock and
Alice in
roll.
Chains,
Just take.
Nirvana, early the Sub Pop stuff, but just straight ahead,
Hard
awesome
rock.
rock and roll. Go listen to the new Mezzoa album, and thank you, Nacho, so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. You guys are awesome.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Nice to meet
Have
you,
a great
man.
day.
Nice to meet you, Turbo. Nice to talk.